It's nice to meet everyone today. We have a small number, so I'm hoping that this can be as interactive as possible. My name is Olaide Agboola. I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm a software engineer. And today I'll be talking about software engineering, but we're more focused on like a brief overview of what backend web development is all about. So I don't know, there may be some people here. If you're already in tech, or like you already do some coding, you already do some programming, can you like raise your hand so that I can know where we are? Like you already have some idea, maybe some basic knowledge, some little coding, you already do that. Please react by raising your hand. Okay, I see Tabitha. Okay, so it's only Tabitha. All right, that's fine. Thank you, Tabitha. You can put on your hand now. I'm a graduate of computer science, and right now I'm a software engineer because when I left school, I started my career as a software engineer. That was like back in 2015, and since then I've been doing as one I'm working at on like different projects. I have like my focus is on web development because when it comes to software engineering, we have like different fields. We have like different specialties in software engineering, and web development is one of them. You know, we have mobile development, we have gaming, there's data science, artificial intelligence, robotics, you know, and a whole lot of that. But focus on web development and especially backend. So web development is also split into backend and front end. I'm not sure, you know, some people may not understand what those terms are. I will explain in the course of this in the course of this session. But I, focus more on the back end. And so to start with, what is a software engineering generally? So when you hear terms like software engineering, software development, programming, coding, they're all referring to the same thing generally. Don't get confused by those terms. They are the same thing. It's the same profession, it's the same career. It just has different names. So software engineering is basically the art of writing executable instructions, right, to achieve specific tasks. So basically, software engineering is like programming, like using programming languages to talk to your computer to execute a particular task. An example of programming language which I use is JavaScript. So I use JavaScript as a language, to write set of instructions that the computer knows how to understand and interpret, And so, whatever I tell it to do, it kind of just does. And software engineering is not just about writing code. It also involves documenting what you have written, testing what you have written, maintaining the code afterwards. Because as long as a product exists, as long as there's a software that people use, there will always be the need for maintaining it. So you don't just build software and put it aside, but there's a continuous process of maintaining the application. So software engineering covers everything around that. And as I mentioned earlier, there are numerous aspects to software development, but today we'll be talking more about backend development. So before I go into backend web development, I'd just like to say, because backend, people hear backend and front end together often when they hear about software engineering. So front end is basically everything that you see on a software, like the way the buttons are arranged, the data whatever information or data that is displayed on the page, your interaction with a web page or a mobile app, that's what you see. Everything that you see basically is the front end. And then the back end is what powers that, because when you click on a button, some things happen. Maybe it takes you to a form, you submit a form, it takes you to another page, or it retrieves some data for you, or it sends your information somewhere. Something happens when you interact with the web page. So that interaction, that exchange of data and everything is done on the back end. So the front end basically just takes, all of the information from the back end server and this is in a form that you are able to understand as a user of the software. So backend, as the name implies, refers to all the work that happens behind the scenes. So you can't, there are things that you really can't see that this is happening on backend, but you just know that things are showing, on your page or the front end. So backend and the front end, have to work together to create an experience for the user. So the backend involves basically, in summary, it involves the server setup. So when you hear people talk about having a server, they're talking about the backend and the server, communicates with your database because when you go into an application, for instance, if you register, you log in or sign up, it stores your information somewhere and that's in the database. But before that information can get to the database, like there's the server, that's the backend. When I say server, I'm also referring to backend. It's a server in between your database and your front end that either takes information from the front end and sends it, processes it, sends it into the database, or retrieves information from the database, does some processes to it, and then sends it back to the front end. And they're like interfaces for the front end to interact with the back end. So the back end provides an interface that the front end can plug into to either get data or send data back. So sending so the backend is possible. The backend generally it comprises the server setup, database communication, and then sending and receiving data from the front end. And this is what that looks like pictorially in summary. So we have the browser. Your web browser is what your Google Chrome, your Safari that you go into. And we're using browsers here because I'm talking about web development. If we're talking about mobile development, we'll be talking about like an actual browser. It will be like the interface of your mobile application or whatever application that you're using. So for the backend, the browser communicates with your web server, which is the backend, and then that communication also goes to the database. And this flow is also reversed. So the web server is also responsible for pulling information from the database and then sending it to the browser. But it doesn't just pull information from the database and then send to the browser like that. There's a lot of processes that go on in there, before the data is sent in a way that the front end can actually take it and display to users. And also when the browser sends information, the web server has to work on it and then send it to the database in the manner the database would also understand. So that's like a summary of backend. And I'll also be touching briefly about the skill sets you need to develop if you intend to be a backend developer. So basically, of course, you need knowledge of programming languages, and there's a variety of programming languages today that you can use in backend development. So I have JavaScript here, but usually you use JavaScript with some other frameworks, or some other libraries that will help you, write code in the language that your computer will understand. So when I say JavaScript, you have to use it in conjunction with libraries like Node and frameworks like Express. If you are into coding, you'll have heard some of these terms because so there's Node, there's Express that you use. Then there's PHP, which is a different programming language that you can also use. Then we also have Python. These languages I have, they are called scripting languages. So you can use them to write scripts for your backend. So there's a whole lot of that. There's also Go. There's a Lisa. There's a whole lot of languages that you can use for backend programming. But like these are the popular ones that you probably have heard about or probably even know how to use at this moment. And then in terms of soft skills, as a software engineer generally, it's not just about coding. There are a lot of soft skills that you need because communication is very important because one, you're not working in silos. You need very good communication skills because you would also, in the course of carrying out your tasks, you will need to communicate with people that have no technical knowledge. They don't understand what maybe they just want to get something done. They don't really know the technical details, and you have to communicate to them. You help them understand what they're doing. Even in terms of like estimating your work, setting timelines, communicating if timelines are not suitable, all of those things. So communication is very important, especially these days when a lot of work that we do is virtual, remote. Since COVID, everyone has gone to working remotely. A lot of people rather have gone to working remotely. So, you're working with people that can't see you, that can't maybe correctly interpret your body language, and you need to communicate effectively. Written communication is very important. Even oral communication is very important so that you are not misconstrued and you are able to pass your information effectively, because it is a thing with developers. People have non-developers, when they try to work with developers especially, complain a lot about communications, like we just want to be on our computer and do our thing and not be disturbed by anybody else. But it doesn't really work like that. As a professional, you need very good communication skills. You also need stakeholder management, because you need to be able to set correct expectations. You don't want to overpromise and then under-deliver. You also don't want to on that promise and then over deliver. You want to be able to understand your capacity, or if you're limiting the capacity of your team, and be able to manage expectations of the stakeholders. You have to be able to identify the specific stakeholders that you're working with as well, and be able to communicate effectively. Also, collaboration is very important in software development. It is very, very important, because no man is an island, and software development is quite challenging, because every day, like, software development is like challenges every day. Like, you're basically going to work to face something new, something you've probably never done before. So it is important to have good collaboration skills, so that you are able to work together with other people. You are not delaying on your task, and you are also able to learn from them, or also able to pass some knowledge across to them, because they could also run into issues where they need help, something that you have worked with in the past. It's easy for you to just guide them and say, oh, this is how I do this is how I do this. And when you need help as well, it's easier for you to reach out. I know that sometimes as software engineers, we just like to face a problem head on and be at it until like we get it done, because you just want to get it done. You're having a bug, you don't know how to fix it, and you're there, and you just want to try, because at the end of the day, when you get it, there's some joy when you're able to solve the problem. So it is very important to have the collaboration skills, so that you don't get to delay, because when you spend too long on a task as well, it can be demotivating. So you don't want to spend too much time hitting your head on something that somebody else somewhere has most likely done before. So collaborating with other people makes your work very, very easy. And also relying on online resources. When you don't know stuff, just read it up and see what comes up. And apart from all this, you also need logical skills and problem solving and critical thinking. Especially if you're working on the back end, you have to do a lot of like data manipulation, processing. You have to think about how things tie into each other, what you're doing, how it's going to be used by other parties that need it, and all of that. So very good logical skills, problem solving, and critical thinking skills are very important. And then one very important thing, the last thing I'll mention, which is not the least at all, is the willingness to learn on the go. Software engineering, like software development, involves everything. Like, what you learn today can go obsolete tomorrow. There can be a new trend that everybody's jumping on tomorrow, and you have to be able to let go of what you already know now, so that you can learn the next thing. Because, like, you know, there's a new version of everything every time coming up. You have to keep up. You have to keep up if you want to grow. You have to be able to keep up with the trends. You have to be able to keep up with the new tech that is coming to. And then, like I said, and apart from that, you are facing new challenges every day. So there's a possibility that as you start work as a software engineer on a particular day, the challenge you're going to meet, you've never seen it before. So you have to be able to, get out of your comfort zone and look for a solution to that particular challenge, even if you've never done it before. So not having done something before is not an excuse not to try out something, especially software development, because you would be faced with, you'll be faced with that almost every day. You have to be ready and willing to learn, to pick up stuff on the go. Yeah, I think this is a lot of what I have, regarding software. I think there'll be some time at the end for us to ask questions. I know that this is like just a very high level summary because I have only 20 minutes, and yeah, and these are some of the you know like the ways to engage, like especially if you are just starting as a new person, you're just getting into this field, you're trying to see where to fit into, you're trying to get help, you're trying to learn. These are some of the things I suggest to people that are just learning. One is to belong to developer communities. It's very important to belong to a community of people who are also in tech, who are also learning to code, or people who have learned to code, that can guide you, because learning on your own can be quite difficult, can be quite challenging, and can be unnecessarily, exhausting. But if you have other people around that are doing the same things, are learning like you can drag each other, like you are able to pull each other and learn together. You're able to, ask each other questions. You attend events together. You meet up with people. You challenge each other basically, and you're not doing this alone. So you're able to make more important. So one of some of those developer communities that you can join, like if you listen to Sumaya, she mentioned that she's part of Google Developer Group. The GDG has been like very instrumental in helping people get up to speed in programming. So I don't know what the exact handle is, but if you go on Twitter and search for Google Developer Group, you'll find the ones that are in your location, wherever you're based, you're in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, they have pubs here and there. So it's important to join one of these. They have events every time. You go there, you are able to network, you meet new people that also learn to code from there. You can have bodies that you're learning together. And then there's also She Codes Africa and Women Techmakers that you can join. These are very great communities as well. You can, especially because there are other people that are also in your shoes trying to learn how to code. So it's very important to have, those people around you as well, so that you can learn together. Then apart from all this, you have to be very, very intentional about your learning. Like if you're learning to code, you have to take it like a job. You have to like immerse yourself in it and take it as, okay, this is a job. Like even if you have like a job that you're doing separately, you have to devote some time, maybe like daily or weekly, that that you're facing this. You have goals that you set, because if not, software engineering, like getting it, especially when you're just trying, involves a lot of consistency. You have to like, it's not something that you do today and then you leave it for the next 2 weeks and then you don't come back to it. It won't work that way, because you would forget. You forget. It's very practical, so you have to hone the skills. You have to get to the point where you can now code in your sleep before you are able to leave it for 2 weeks and come back to it. Because even when I go on leave, I go on leave for like 2 weeks or something, I come back, I'm like, oh, what's this JavaScript again? Like, it's like you're learning afresh. So there are a lot of online resources that you can take advantage of. There are coding schools, there are numerous coding schools online, boot camps, both physical and online, that you can leverage. Some of them include, I'm sure that you guys would have known about, like, or some of you would have heard about Udacity. Udacity provides like very good courses. They even have certificates that you can use, and they are well known. So if you have an Udacity certificate, it's a leverage, like you can leverage on it. They have like different courses that you can take advantage of, different tracks. They have like content development, backend development, data science, whatever you can think of, you can go on Udacity. Then there's also this school in Lagos called University that teaches people how to code. And then we have platforms like Coursera, Udemy, that you can just go to take a couple of courses and learn. I always advise people to start with the free courses, because yeah, it's the paid courses are more usually more intense and more practical. But if you're just starting out, in order to get a good idea of what you're doing, and because when you're starting out, you may not really understand which track you want to face. You just want to get into tech, you want to be a software engineer, you want to be a software developer, but you are not sure if you want to do data science, you're not sure if you want to do backend, you're not sure if you want to do front end. So first of all, try out this free courses. Just try and see which one interests you, which one you find easier to relate with, easier to learn, and then from there you can go and take more advanced courses. And then as you take these courses, there are also coding platforms where you can exercise your coding skills. Like these platforms will give you like questions, challenges that you can solve, and it will help you understand where you are still lacking, what you need to understand. We have Code Academy. Code Academy has like a bunch of exercises that you can take. You can sign up there. They have courses as well that you can take, and then and you're able to learn. One platform I forgot to put here was HackerRank. HackerRank has a lot of exercises that you can do as a software engineer. Like when you're learning, it helps you to understand data structures, algorithms, all of those basic things that a software engineer needs to know. Then there's also Khan Academy and SoloLearn. You can check out these resources online. They are very, very useful, and I know people that have used them. And today they are doing very well. I myself started learning to code through Code Academy, and it was very useful and instrumental to my growth. And one last thing like to mention is mentorship. It is important to also associate yourself with somebody that has done this before, that knows very well about this, and they are willing to spend their time in helping you grow. So for a mentor, it might not necessarily be somebody that would just hold your hand and teach you and say, do this X, Y, and Z. But you see a mentor as somebody that you can approach when you have challenges and say, oh, okay, I've tried these things, I'm confused at this point, I'm not sure what to do. And then the person can provide you general guidance. But the onus still lies on you to engage, that person, to seek out opportunities by yourself. But when you're confused, then you're able to ask questions. But it's very important for you to try out things first, so that even your mentor is able to know that, okay, this is what you want to be. They are able to identify how to help you exactly. So these are the tips I have, and thank you very, very much for listening. And now I'll pause for questions if there are any questions. Yeah, Tabitha, please go ahead. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. Tabitha, go ahead.
All right, Olaide, thank you so much for your presentation. I really learned something. I think my key takeaway is going to be, if you are confused about which one you want to go into, you can just try out the free course and then just see what it's about, and then you would know. Because I asked you that question earlier, so I think I've got my answer. Yes. And about the mentorship, let me shoot my shot and ask for your email or something to reach out to you afterwards.
Okay, let me see if I can drop my email in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, so that's my email, and you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, I'm available on these platforms.
Oh, I can't see. Let me collapse it. I can't see the chat. Okay.
You can't see the chat?
Okay, I can see it now. My participants. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay.
Let me connect on LinkedIn now.
Is there anyone else with questions? Anything specific to backend development or software development in general? I'll be happy to answer. Okay. Okay, it seems like there are none, and I would say thank you again for coming in. Thank you for listening, and yeah, I think we're past our time already, so we'll go back. We'll head back to the main conference. Thank you everyone for joining and listening. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I've connected with you on LinkedIn.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Oh, I do. Let's